Presented by Aditya Birla Capital. Co-presented by Star Health Insurance, the health insurance specialist.
Good evening, hello and welcome. You're with the news today, your primetime destination. News, newsmakers, talking points. Tonight, the big talking point, a TMC minister arrested after a big cash haul at his aide's house. But are opposition states under the scanner of the central agencies? Is this selective targeting? We'll raise that issue. Also, monkeypox. Should India worry about it? Dr. Rajdeep will tell us more on that. But as always, first, it's time for the 9 headlines at 9 tonight. Mamata Banerjee breaks her silence on Trinamool Congress Minister Partha Chatterjee's arrest, says she stands up against corruption. ED claims the Bengal minister was faking illness to evade questioning. Mamata under the pressure to sack Chatterjee. Draupadi Murmu takes oath as the 15th president. India welcomes its first tribal president. Murmu recounts her roots in her maiden speech. 4 Congress MPs suspended from the Lok Sabha for waving placards near the Speaker's chair. The MPs claim that the government is refusing to have a discussion on price rise. Bid to disrupt communal harmony amidst the Kawar Yatra in UP's Bijnor. 2 attackers donning saffron destroyed tombs. Arrest accused identified as Kamal and Adil. Karnataka Congress Chief Minister Nataka explodes. Party mulls action against MLA Zamir Ahmed, who openly backed Siddaramaiah against DK Shivkumar. Another class 12 student found dead in a Tamil Nadu school hostel. Protests erupt in Tiruvallur. Victim's family alleges school authorities delayed in informing them of the death. Olympic medalist Lovelina Borgohain alleges mental harassment, says coach denied entry into CWG village, Commonwealth Games village, claims her training has been affected because of the mistreatment. Sports Ministry has now stepped in. Monkeypox alert in India. A total of 4 cases now reported. 16 labs set up for testing samples. WHO has called it a global emergency. A struggling actor wanted to marry Katrina Kaif, arrested for death threats to her and Vicky Kaushal. Man accused of stalking the actors now in police custody. But to the story that we are breaking this evening, 4 Congress MPs have been suspended from the Lok Sabha for holding protests with placards inside the House over price rise. They've been suspended for the entire monsoon session, which suggests that there will be now no breakthrough in the logjam between the government and the opposition. The MPs have been suspended till August 12 when the session comes to an end. The MPs, namely Manikam Tagore, Jyoti Mani, Ramya Haridas and T.N. Pratapan, were warned by the Speaker Om Birla on more than one occasion. The Speaker claims he has offered to hold a discussion on the issue of price rise after 3 p.m. but the Congress MPs continued to hold placards in the well of the House, insisting that the Speaker was bluffing and is not keen on a price discussion. Congress has cornered the government over the suspension, calling it an attempt to intimidate its MPs.
As far as डेडलॉक इज कंसर्न, जहाँ तक डेडलॉक का सवाल है, आज भी मैंने पर्सनली फ़ोन करके श्रीमान खरगे जी को और श्रीमान अधीर रंजन जी से बात किया. मैंने एक चीज़ उनको स्पष्ट किया हूँ. सिंस FME is not well, now she is recovering and we will have discussion at the earliest. I also urged him that government will assure you that there will be discussion on price rise. महंगाई पर चर्चा होगा, ये मैंने बहुत स्पष्ट रूप से उनको कहा दोनों को, और मैंने हाथ जोड़ को विनती किया कि कृपया सदन सुचारू रूप से चलने के लिए आप मदद कीजिए.
And joining me now is our newsmaker tonight, one of the 4 Congress MPs who's been suspended for the monsoon session of Parliament. Manikam Tagore is joining me. Appreciate your joining us, Mr. Tagore. You've been suspended by the Lok Sabha Speaker with the accusation that you and the others were disrupting Parliament, were refusing to allow it to function, were rushing into the well of the House with placards, all of which in contravention of the rules. How do you respond?
Thank you, Rajdeep, for having our words also through India today. We had been from the first day of Parliament, from previous week, Monday. The 6th day, I had been giving notices for adjournment motion, and we wanted debate on price rise, particularly on the LPG price rise and the GST rates. We had been demanding this demand for the past 6th day. Today also I had given an adjournment motion, and we wanted a discussion in the Parliament, and we wanted debate on that very essential issues which pains the people. 6 days we had followed a process. Every day 8:30 we have to give an adjournment motion online. Before 10 o'clock that has to be submitted to the Honorable Speaker. Then Speaker decides it around 11 o'clock or 12 o'clock. Then the House does that business. They are not even allowed one word about price rise for us for the past 6 days to be mentioned in the dictionary, in the Parliament record itself.
But the Speaker is saying that final decision is with the Speaker's office as to what can be debated and what cannot be debated. And they are saying the rules are very clear. The Speaker may, if it deems necessary, name a member who disregards the authority of the chair or abuses the rules of the House by persistently and willfully obstructing the business thereof. And they say you are in violation of a Lok Sabha Secretariat advisory that you cannot take placards and go into the well of the House.
We have great respect for Honorable Speaker. Personally, about Mr. Om Birla, we have great affection towards him. To the chair which he sits there as Honorable Speaker of the Lok Sabha, we have a great respect. Our problem is not with the chair. Our problem is with the government. Government decides which business has to be allowed, and they say to the Speaker that they are ready for that business to be transacted. What our problem is in the BAC, first day they told that we will meet in the BAC and discuss and decide about
BAC,
the
Business
price
Advisory Committee. Yes.
Business Advisory Committee. That is on Tuesday. It happened. This Tuesday also it will happen now. Tuesday they decided that there will be a BAC, and they discussed it, and the price rise, they vaguely said the thing that we are ready for a debate, but we can't tell about the time. Opposition parties, including Congress Party, DMK, NCP, all other parties wanted a debate to be fixed in day and time. There is no debate been fixed. Without debate, price rise, LPG prices has gone to 1,053 rupees. It was 443 rupees in 2014 when Manmohan Singh left. It has crossed 1,000 rupees, and 1,050 rupees, 53 rupees it is selling now.
The Parliamentary Affairs Minister Prahlad Joshi says the government is ready to discuss price rise, but first you've got to allow Parliament to function. First you've got to allow legislative business to take place. Then these debates will happen.
This is the problem. This is the arrogance of the Parliamentary Affairs Minister. This is the arrogance of the government. First, they want to do their businesses. They want to pass their bills. Then they wanted to take up the people's issue. Government, it can't be the Parliament can't be made as a cheerleaders. Parliament has to debate. Opposition is raising issues. Placards, why we are forced to take a placard to that? Because our voices have not been heard. They are not allowing us to give the mic. They are not giving the mic to us. Our leaders, particularly Adhir Ranjan Chaudhary, wanted to speak about price rise. Mr. T.R. Balu wanted to speak about price rise. Ms. Supriya Sule wanted to speak about price rise. Nobody was allowed to speak. What else we will do? We will show the placard like this only. What else we can do? We can only show the placard that we have been forced to do it.
You're saying you've been forced to do it, but in response to that, now the government has suspended you for an entire session. So what do? At the end of the day, your voice therefore will not be heard anymore in Parliament.
Daramat, that's the only thing, because we had taken up people's issue. We are not afraid about this thing. We are not afraid about their suspension and others. They can bend these rules against because we are not speaking about our own privileges. We are not agitating about any one individual's protection. We are asking about people's issue. We are speaking about price rise. We are speaking about LPG price rise. We are speaking about GST rates. Whether that is not important.
No, but you're saying Daro mat. Are you telling me that you will therefore, other Congress MPs will continue to agitate, even though now the sword of suspension hangs over all your heads? You all will continue to agitate on this issue and the parliament won't be allowed to function?
Congress party, tomorrow is today we had a meeting of the MPs, and tomorrow 10:15 we are having another meeting with the MPs before, because we have to speak to the other alliance partners also. 10:15 there will be MPs meeting again in the CPP office. We will decide about our course of action. But we are very clear. We want to take up people's issue. There are two issues we are taking up in the past 6 days. We are taking about this price rise on LPG, essential price rise, and the GST issues. And then one day we have taken up the EDM issues. Therefore, we have been telling about these issues to be discussed. But the parliament is not allowed. Not even one word is being mentioned. That's the problem for us.
But my final question to you, Manikam Tagore, while you may have a case that you're not being allowed, you're not being heard in parliament, there will be viewers out there who are listening who will say, look, Manikam Tagore and all are disruptionists. They are the ones who are disrupting parliament. That's how the government will pitch it, and people will very well buy into it. The disruptor today is seen as the enemy. You will be seen as the enemy of allowing parliament to function effectively.
Yeah, if we are seen as disturbers on the people's issue, that is for LPG price rise and the GST price rate hikes and others, let us be. All these disturbers has only changed India, and we are all happy to be disturbers if the government wants to portray us. So whomever speaks against them, they want to show them as anti-nationals, and whomever wants to rise against their voices, they are saying as disturbers, let it be. We are ready for it, and we will not be afraid about it. Therefore only I told Daro mat.
Daro mat. Okay, that's your message in a way, that you are going to continue to raise these issues in parliament and outside. You've been suspended for the full session. You've given your side of the story. Appreciate your joining me, Manikam Tagore, our newsmaker this evening. Now, I've covered parliament for 3 decades and more, and I have my take on this issue. A quote, not allowing parliament to function is also a form of democracy. This is what Sushma Swaraj, then leader of the opposition in the Lok Sabha, said in 2012. There are occasions when disruption brings great benefits to the country. Disrupting parliament is a legitimate means by which government is made accountable. This is what Arun Jaitley, leader of the BJP in the opposition in 2012, said in the Rajya Sabha. And then, an entire session being disrupted is a waste of the country's time and money, of the taxpayers' money. This is what the then Congress UPA Parliamentary Affairs Minister Kamal Nath said in 2013. What is the moral of the story, my friends? Where you stand in Indian politics depends on where you sit. Think about it. That was my take on that issue. Let's move on from there to my other big talking point tonight, because West Bengal Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee has finally broken her silence on the Enforcement Directorate raid on her cabinet colleague Partha Chatterjee, which has caused huge embarrassment to the TMC. Remember, Partha Chatterjee was arrested on Saturday. His aide has been found with more than 20 crore in cash. The West Bengal Chief Minister, though, is accusing the BJP of trying to break her party by using central agencies. In fact, the one criticism of the ED constantly being made is that they are targeting selectively only opposition-ruled states. But the ED says it has enough evidence and more on Partha Chatterjee and his aide Arpita Mukherjee. It's our other big story tonight.
Over 21 crore rupees in cash. Gold worth 79 lakh rupees. The treasure haul at model and actor Arpita Mukherjee's house has landed West Bengal Minister Partha Chatterjee in big trouble. A Kolkata court on Monday heard the Enforcement Directorate's plea for custody of Chatterjee, who's being investigated in connection with the teacher recruitment scam. In the court, while seeking Chatterjee's custody, the ED claimed preliminary investigation has revealed Arpita Mukherjee, a close associate of Chatterjee, was running at least 12 shell companies. The agency said joint sale deeds of flats in the name of Chatterjee and Arpita were found in the raids on their residences. The ED also alleged that the documents of properties owned by Arpita were found from Chatterjee's residence. Earlier, Partha Chatterjee was flown to Bhubaneswar AIIMS for a medical checkup on the orders of the Calcutta High Court. The minister was jeered by crowds at the hospital. Doctors at AIIMS have found his health condition to be stable. The corruption scandal has embarrassed the Trinamool Congress. West Bengal CM Mamata Banerjee broke her silence on Monday, saying that Chatterjee should be jailed if guilty.
যদি কেউ চোর হয় ডাকাত হয় তৃণমূল কংগ্রেস পেয়ার করে না। আমি নিজের ছেলেদের অ্যারেস্ট করেছি অনেকগুলো। আমি নিজের এমএলএ এমপি কাউকে স্পেয়ার করি না অন্যায় করলে, মিনিস্টারও স্পেয়ার করি না, মাথায় রাখবেন। কিন্তু অযথা আমার গায়ে কালি ছেটানোর চেষ্টা করলে মনে রাখবেন আলকাতরা কিন্তু আমার হাতেও আছে।
According to the ED arrest memo, Partha Chatterjee tried to inform Mamata about his arrest but was snubbed. The memo says Partha dialed Mamata 4 times but none of his calls were received by her. The teacher recruitment scam has given the BJP ammunition to target the TMC.
ईडी कोर्ट के आदेश से जो काम चल रहा है तो ईडी अपने तैयारी के साथ काम कर रही है। आज तक जो लोग सीबीआई ईडी का विरोध कर रहे थे आज उनका इंक्वायरी जल्दी हो ये सब बोल रहे हैं, क्या अधिकार है उनका? और मुझे लगता है कि बहुत जल्दी और कुछ देखने को मिलेगा जिससे बंगाल के लोग अभी तक दुखी थे, पीड़ित थे कि यहाँ भ्रष्टाचार चरम पर है, कोई न्याय नहीं हो रहा है, उनको कम से कम न्याय मिलेगा।
Partha Chatterjee's arrest in the teacher recruitment scandal here in West Bengal has come at an inopportune time for the Trinamool Congress. It threatens to derail the Trinamool Congress's bid to become a rallying force against the Narendra Modi-led BJP government at the centre. With camera person Prasoon Indrajit for India Today in Kolkata.
Now let's look at this track record of opposition leaders being under the scanner of the central agencies. Because on the 23rd of July, the latest case is that the ED arrests West Bengal Minister Partha Chatterjee in a teacher recruitment scam. On the 21st of July, last week, Enforcement Directorate questioned Sonia Gandhi in the National Herald case. Before that, Rahul Gandhi had been also grilled in the same case. On 23rd of June 2022, the ED quizzed TMC MP Abhishek Banerjee's wife Rujira Narula in the West Bengal coal scam. On the 21st of June 2022, ED questioned former Maharashtra Minister Anil Parab close to Uddhav Thackeray in the money laundering case. This is when there was a Sena government there. 14 June 2022, ED questioned Rahul Gandhi again, remember in the National Herald case. 30th May 2022, ED arrested Delhi Minister Satyendra Jain in money laundering case. 20th May 2022, CBI questioned former JNK Minister Hasib Drabu on a Mumbai property deal. They are also questioning Farooq Abdullah. 19 May 2022, CBI questioned West Bengal Minister Paresh Adhikari in a teacher recruitment scam. 6th April, CBI arrested former Maharashtra Home Minister Anil Deshmukh in an extortion case. This is 2021. 23rd February 2022, ED arrested NCP leader Nawab Malik in a money laundering case. Now, what do they all have in common? They are all from opposition-ruled states when they have been acted against. Which leads me to ask my big questions. Are the central agencies targeting opposition parties only as alleged? Can the TMC actually now disown Partha Chatterjee given his close proximity to the TMC leadership? Has the recruitment scam dented Mamata Banerjee's image to be tough on corruption? Joining me now is Dr. Shashi Panja, West Bengal Minister of the Trinamool. Nalin Kohli is the BJP spokesperson. And ML Sharma is former Special Director at the CBI. I want to come to you first, Shashi Panja. Why not accept that when your minister's aide is caught with 20 crores, not one, not two, 20 crores in cash, minister arrested, Kolkata High Court has intervened in the case earlier, why not accept and sack the minister rather than pointing fingers at the BJP first? First, sack the minister and accept some kind of accountability when someone has a prima facie corruption case against them.
This is as simple as this, that the aid that you are speaking about is not a direct member of Trinamool Congress, or neither is she elected from Trinamool Congress or a public representative or a portfolio post holder of the Trinamool Congress. So we cannot really accept responsibility of the fact that cash was found at her home, documents were found at her home. Now, speaking about Dr. Partho Chatterjee, the Honorable Minister of our government, we are waiting. The investigation is on. Just remember that CBI was investigating twice. He was interrogated. He turned up for interrogation. That was an ongoing process. The ED has stepped in further. So let us allow, I mean, he is still, as we are not defending anything. Honorable Chief Minister today, in a very important speech today, did mention about zero tolerance, did mention that the party or she would not.
No, ma'am, if there is zero tolerance for corruption, prima facie case, sack him. If there is zero tolerance for corruption, if he is exonerated, he can come back. But what is this practice that you are not going to even sack ministers when they are arrested?
No, there is a difference between accusation and guilty. You know, this is the issue. This is where we start saying that somehow, thanks to you for the chronology that you set it, that yes, there is a misuse of the agency. But having said that, you know, allow these institutions to function independently. We want that they function independently with total autonomy. Honorable Chief Minister said, let there be a fast-track court, but let the justice be done, let the verdict be given. But how do you expect
so how can a minister run his ministry? How can your industry and commerce minister run his ministry from jail? The fact is, whether this will be decided by a court of law, whether the ED has fixed him, whether he is guilty or not. But prima facie, when you are arrested in such a major case, the first thing you do is take the resignation. There was an age in Lal Bahadur Shastri's time where ministers would resign for a railway accident. And now you don't even resign when there are corruption charges against you, Shashi Panja.
No, because Dr. Partho Chatterjee is still fighting the case. He is still fighting case. Probably we don't know, we are not there, but he is definitely fighting for it. So we have to allow, that his arguments to be placed or whatever. I mean,
he's fighting a case by faking illness.
And you are telling us to accept. No, he's not faking illness. Now, this is a big thing. Yeah, this is another thing. I'm a medical practitioner myself. Now, the extent to what one can go is that now there is a division amongst the doctors. So you cannot trust the doctors at the premier institution in Kolkata in West Bengal like SSK, but you will trust the doctors in Command Hospital or in AIMS. This is a very funny situation. So there is division even there.
So he's not going to be sacked. He's not going to be sacked. Let me get it one last time. You're not going to sack him until the inquiry is complete. Am I correct?
So that is what the Honorable Chief Minister has very clearly said, that the moment we know that yes, he is guilty, it will not take us much time to take the next course of action.
I see. Okay. Nalin Kohli, I want to put another graphic on screen because, this is very interesting. I put a graphic of all the opposition leaders under the ED scanner. Now take a look at this. B.S. Yediyurappa, accused of land and pining scams, CBI probe inconclusive. Shuvendu Adhikari of the TMC, moment he switched to you, the probe is stopped after he joined BJP. Reddy brothers of Bellary, accused in a 16,500 crore mining scam, CBI closes case. Hemanta Biswa Sarma, your new poster boy in Assam, accused in bribery scandal. The moment he joins you, probe is stopped. Shivraj Singh Chauhan, under scanner in Vyapam scam, CBI clean chit in 2017. Ramesh Pokhriyal, former Uttarakhand Chief Minister, accused in land scam, no probe. Narayan Rane, your union minister, accused in a 300 crore money laundering racket, probe stopped after he joined BJP. So it's one thing. It's one thing to say this is now emerging as a washing machine. We'll come to Nalin Kohli in a moment. His line is cut at the right time or wrong time for him. ML Sharma, former Special Director CBI, what am I to understand? One rule for the opposition, one rule for the government?
I can't give you a categorical answer to this. The fact is that leaders of opposition whose names we have mentioned, date-wise arrests and investigations, well, I have no brief for them because I can have a brief for innocent person, who is not indulging in corruption, but not for those who are indulging in corruption, regardless of whether they are in the ruling party or in the opposition. This is the first point that I would like to make. And second, as far as closure of cases against the ruling party politicians concerned, please remember to infer from this or to insinuate that correct investigations were not carried out wholesale against these people by the investigating agencies may not be correct, because even if the investigating agency conducts incorrect investigation, then there are courts who monitor the cases or who supervise the cases. If investigation is not conducted properly, the magistrate has authority in law to redirect further investigation of the matters. Therefore, one shoe doesn't fit all situations.
I take your point. I take your point, sir. One shoe doesn't fit. I take your point. One shoe doesn't fit all situations. Nalin Kohli, you're with us. Now answer the question. The BJP is being accused of being a washing machine. One rule when you're in the government, one rule when you're in the opposition. Subhendu Adhikari switches sides. All cases against him are slowed down. Hemanta Biswa Sarma, Yediyurappa, Shivraj Singh Chauhan, Ramesh Pokhriyal, list is long.
First, let me come to the beginning part of your program. You named several opposition leaders and parties, and with an idea that as if the investigations are not bona fide and perhaps they are mala fide.
I didn't say that at all.
Let's reconstruct each one of them. In the first case, no, I said it gave an impression. I never said you said that, Rajdeep. You do know I'm a lawyer, so I'm very careful with my words. So therefore, my point is that in each one of the cases that you named at the beginning of the program, the subsequent events only confirm that none of them seem to be bona fide in terms of the people involved, and the agency was clearly seemed to be right. You yourself quite correctly pointed out 21 odd crore rupees is a lot of money in the case of Dr. Partho Chatterjee. In the case of Satyendra Jain, you have a minister whose transactions he says I can't remember, which begs the question that why was he in the government if a man can't remember financial transactions from dubious companies? I mean, you can't take the oath of constitution and say you'll discharge it for the welfare of the people if you can't even remember from where money is coming into your account. So, I mean, case after case. Now, let's come to your allegations against the BJP leaders. Let's pick one by one. You picked up Dr. Hemanta Biswa Sarma. You're referring to a very infamous case. He was discharged from the court. There was nothing there. But it's a convenient allegation made by the opposition parties as if he was reaped in corruption. Show me that case, na, and show the court orders.
Sir, with due regard, Nalin Kohli ji, with due regard, sir, those accusations of corruption against Hemanta Biswa Sarma were made by in the Louis Berger case and in the chit fund case were made by the BJP when he was in the Congress. It's not someone else who made them. When Hemanta Biswa Sarma was in the Congress, the BJP made the corruption allegations against him. Moment he joins you, he's as clean as Snow White.
Yes. No, exactly. Absolutely. That's why I'm saying do your homework. Go and check the whole thing. Ask your research team, my friend. The point is we made those allegations. He fought against the BJP on those allegations and subsequently came out clean from the court. I mean, so that's very convenient. Just because we raised an allegation, we had reasons to believe that it may be so. He fought it out in the court and came out of it innocent. So we are supposed to hold it against him and us.
Look at Subhendu, case after case. Look at Subhendu Adhikari. Look at Narayan Rane. All of these people, serious corruption charges made against them. How is it that the rules are different? You see, that way you are weakening your own case.
No, not at all. So I have given you a very strong answer on Dr. Hemanta Biswa Sarma. Now let's come to Subhendu Adhikari. While Subhendu Adhikari was there, we kept attacking him. No doubt about it. When he crossed over, we got to know the ugly face of the Trinamool. We realized what the Trinamool is made up of. The Trinamool is perhaps the most anti-democratic party in the state of West Bengal ever. I mean, they can go to anything. I mean, 150 of our workers have been strung alive. They've been killed, murdered, maimed, all of it.
No,
so this is a party, we now realize that is the structure there, not an individual.
Why is it that probes, you are a good lawyer, why is it that probes are stopped the moment people switch sides?
Of course.
You are a lawyer of repute.
They haven't stopped. Nothing has stopped.
You're a lawyer of repute. This
Nothing
argument
has
doesn't
stopped.
stand.
Not at all. Nothing has stopped.
1 minute, ma'am.
See, the first point is, 1 minute, Dr. Panja, please. I heard you patiently, Dr. Panja, and you are a very erudite person, and we've had very, very, civil discussions on our debates. Let's keep it that way, ma'am. You're a senior person. So let me come down to it one by one. See, you are making an assumption, Rajdeep. There are two assumptions, and I'm trying to deconstruct both. The first is in the case of people like Himanto Biswa Sarma. I've given you an answer. And I've shown that he went out there, fought against the BJP charges and got a clean chit. So if he gets a clean chit from the court, how do you do an investigation against that case? The second is the case you are saying that why aren't they
You're being
pursued?
repetitive.
Let me put another argument to it. Tell me. No. Madam, I am entitled to answer the question in the manner.
I
can't outsource my answer to you, Dr. Panja.
Complete the answer, ma'am.
Let me finish my point. No, but exactly, I don't need your help to answer me. So now let me come to the other. You are making an assumption that the cases have stopped. In the cases of anybody, A, B, C, tell me in one of them, if there was anything, have we ever stopped? We do not tolerate it. Show me one corruption case which has come out.
I see. So the 300 crore money laundering scam, 300 crore allegation made against a Narayan Rane in a money laundering case by Kirit Somaya of the BJP suddenly disappears the moment he joins you and he's now a union minister. It's a wonderful washing machine, my friend Nalin Kohli. But Shashi Panja, just as the BJP is accused of a washing machine, look at how your leadership changes its stand. First, you didn't believe in the judiciary when they first put this education recruitment scam. You didn't believe in the enforcement directorate. Now you are saying you want a time-bound inquiry and whatever the court decides, you will follow. Now you've also got to be consistent. You can't, I come back to it, you can't be hiding a minister who's got such serious allegations against him. Sack him.
No, of course we have faith in the judiciary. There is an ongoing, the case is sub judice. What Mamata Banerjee just did was, she said that yes, there were about, say, over 1 lakh appointments. Maybe there were 200 at fault. So I am creating the extra post also. But that is an administrative decision that she took in the cabinet and we all endorsed it. That is another issue. But the point is, we have full faith in the judiciary. We have never deterred from that. I mean, obviously, there's an ongoing investigation.
What are you scared of, Shashi Panja? Are you scared that Partha Chatterjee's case will lead to the Chief Minister's office? Could he have done all this without, in some way, the patronage of those at the top?
Without saying.
Rajdeep ji, I mean, in Suvendu Adhikari case, Matthew Samuel, who actually brought up the Narada scam, he himself is asking that I had videos of Suvendu Adhikari too. Why has he not been even called one day for an investigation, for interrogation? Not one day. What is Nalinji trying to defend? And even the person who's accused in the Sharada Narada, Sudipto Roy, he himself has mentioned the names of these people who were accused. Out of them, the ministers were called, they were jailed. But Suvendu Adhikari was not called. That's about his case. So it's very obvious and naked about that. And BJP, here Chief Minister or the leader of the party is talking about that ministers will not be spared, people of my party will not be spared. But BJP party does not say anything about those people who are accused and who belong to the BJP
You
party.
made your point, but
now we are not defending anybody.
Nalin Kohli, today, before I go to the CBI Joint Director for final word, why not accept? It is just the circumstantial evidence is too strong. In case after case, are you telling me that in Karnataka, there are no cases of corruption? 40% commission is the deal which contractors are claiming on record. And yet there will be no ED that goes to Karnataka. It's almost as if India is geographically divided now. Opposition ruled states where the ED works and BJP ruled states where the ED sleeps. That's the impression. Now, let's not kid ourselves anymore on this.
That's a convenient argument. I'll give you an answer to that. No, let me go straight away on this. Rajdeep, no, that's not a reality.
It is.
In every one of the cases, the ED or the CBI has gone against an opposition leader. No, 1 minute, hold on. In each one, there is enough that the media has itself reported on how bad those cases are. So instead of complimenting the ED and the CBI, we are not going to allow somebody to build a whole case against their functioning.
I will
compliment
them the day they arrest people in BJP ruled states as well.
1 minute.
Hamam mein sab nange hain.
No, I like that, Mr. Sardesai. I am sorry. That's a convenient and with due respect.
Sir.
That is also a legally, politically, constitutionally incorrect comment. How can you say I will compliment them if they arrest? Is an arrest a tit
If
for
they're
tat?
even-handed.
You are to compliment them for the work that they do. Not on the basis of how you would like to. First, you compliment them on this. You may criticize them on what you don't
I have
like.
already
You
asked
can't
for the
bring
sacking of
compliment
Partho Chatterjee, sir.
on the basis of
I have
your
asked for
saying
the
that they
sacking
should
of
take that.
Partho Chatterjee.
No, 1 minute, hold on.
Slow conviction rates.
Sorry,
You see,
Mr.
the idea
Sardesai.
is-
Ma'am, you can't
You
intervene,
Pick your
please.
words very
Ma'am, let him
carefully,
speak.
and I'm telling
Ma'am,
you right.
let him speak.
You said I will. 1 minute. Again, Dr. Panja. 1 minute, Rajdeep. With due respect, I will compliment them when they will take action against the BJP is not the correct stand.
Against
You
all,
compliment
against
them for
all
the work and
corrupt people,
criticize them for what
against
you
all
believe is
who are
not their
corrupt,
work.
against all who are corrupt.
Sorry, you
Corruption
can't.
cannot be selective.
Sorry. That
Okay.
is not correct, and I will disagree with you respectfully.
Okay.
Now let me come to the second part of it, which is with regard to it. Somebody is aggrieved with a BJP leader. I mean, is it only the ED? Is it only the CBI? What about a Section 200 complaint in the courts? Are every judge in the pocket of the this?
Good
You
point.
make an allegation against investigative agencies. What about this? Who stops you to take the evidence and go to the court? Who stops
point.
you from filing a private complaint against a person under the CRPC?
Mr.
So
Sharma,
therefore, it's very
Mr.
convenient
Sharma, do you agree
to
with
hide
that?
your corruption, an opposition party, against somebody else.
Mr. Sharma, do you agree that if the opposition parties feel so strongly, they should go to the courts and claim that the ED is acting in a selective manner? Otherwise, it's not just good enough in a court of law.
Well, legally this is a correct statement, but I would like to make a broad point on your channel. See, point is corruption, regardless of the people involved, whether they are the ruling party or the opposition and all that, because today who is the ruling party, tomorrow will become opposition. Regardless of that, regardless of political considerations, this nation has to come down heavily on them.
Absolutely.
We should agree on this.
Absolutely.
Chief
I
Justice
think you
of
make
India
a very
other day
strong,
said
I agree.
That process is punishment.
Absolutely. So
he
you're
said,
saying...
Chief Justice of India said that process is punishment.
That's right.
And this process should continue regardless of the political color of the person concerned.
Well said, and I think we all agree. Regardless of political color, the ED must come down heavily on all involved. I repeat, ALL, whichever party they belong to, and then we will compliment them every time they do it. Because otherwise, while we certainly call for the resignation of a Partha Chatterjee on the show tonight, and we're not being a kangaroo court, ma'am, when we do that, we also expect that the ED will be completely unbiased and non-partisan in its functioning. Shashi Panja, Nalin Kohli, ML Sharma, I appreciate all of you joining me here on my talking point tonight. Thank you. Okay, let's turn from the Enforcement Directorate to a completely different issue. Because another suspected case of monkeypox, the fifth of its kind, has surfaced today in Telangana. A 40-year-old man from Indira Nagar in Telangana's Kamareddy district has monkeypox symptoms. He's been shifted to Hyderabad's fever hospital. It is known that the man developed fever on the 20th of July, developed rashes then, admitted to a private hospital. Now we have 5 monkeypox cases, remember, in India. 6 people with whom this person has been in contact have also been isolated. Let's listen in now to Gagandeep Kang, the eminent virologist. I spoke to her a short while ago. How worried should India be about monkeypox? Listen in. Appreciate your joining us, Dr. Kang. The big question, of course, is with the number of monkeypox cases rising in India slowly but surely, how worried should we be? The WHO declaring it a public health emergency of international concern, cases rising across the world. How worried, Dr. Kang, should we in India be?
So let me point out first that a public health emergency of international concern does not necessarily mean the number of cases that were seen with SARS-CoV-2. Polio, for example, for which the cases are very, very few, is also a public health emergency of international concern. In the case of monkeypox, we have over 16,000 cases that have been reported globally in about 74, 75 countries. And in India, we have 4 cases that are confirmed and a few suspected cases as well. Now, monkeypox is a disease that spreads through the respiratory route and by contact with an infected person. But the spread through the respiratory route is nothing like what we see with SARS-CoV-2. So there is absolutely no need to panic. And for the bulk of the population that is unlikely to come in contact with cases of monkeypox, there is very little need to worry.
Now we are seeing cases that perhaps may have come without that necessary foreign travel contact. Should that be worrying, given the fact that we were told monkeypox, unlike COVID, doesn't transmit through air, through respiratory factors? Is there a possibility, perhaps, that some of these infections could, despite that, emerge in this country?
Well, it's not true that it doesn't transmit through the respiratory route. It does, but it requires very close contact with the person who is infected, who generally has respiratory symptoms, and you are very, very close in conversation without a mask with that person, and then you might acquire monkeypox infection. The more likely route of transmission is skin contact with a person. Now, in terms of where the disease is coming from, 3 out of the 4 confirmed cases did have a travel history. And the 4th case has a history of attending an event where there might have been people that might themselves have had a travel history. So not everybody who gets monkeypox manifests with florid symptoms. It's possible that someone might be mildly symptomatic and spread to somebody within the country. Now, person-to-person transmission is taking place in many countries. And the case that we have in Delhi is the first example of a case without travel history in India. This just points out that we need to exercise caution, that we need to make sure that when we know a person is ill or unwell, we advise them to get the right kind of testing done and subsequently isolation. I think this is a time for education, a time for expansion of testing facilities.
While we've seen very few cases as yet in India, we've seen a huge jump in cases in Europe, particularly countries like Spain, in Africa, where it is supposed to have originated.
Well, I don't think any country really needs to panic about monkeypox, because it's important to remember that there are significant differences with the last and most important viral infection we have seen. One, it is not an RNA virus. Chances of it mutating as rapidly as we saw with SARS-CoV-2 are very low. It is a virus that has a relatively low rate of transmission. It requires fairly intimate contact, as I mentioned previously. And this is a virus with a very low case fatality rate. There have so far been only 5 deaths out of the 16,000 detected cases outside of Africa. Even within Africa, where healthcare services are limited, this has a case fatality rate of 3% or less, the strain that is currently circulating.
What are the symptoms specifically for monkeypox that one should be worried about?
Well, some of the symptoms are non-specific. For example, fever and respiratory symptoms. Those can be common across a number of different diseases. However, when you start to see the skin lesions, they start with a rash, and then they progress to vesicles, which contain clear fluid, and then to pustules, which contain an opaque fluid. So those lesions are really quite characteristic of the pox viruses, and those will be what will trigger and testing, identification and testing of such an individual. In general, if you have fever, respiratory symptoms, and or a rash, get tested.
Any particular diet which could induce monkeypox? There have been, the kind of animal meats that you consume. Is there any? Are those again fears being expressed that are possibly irrational?
Well, in Africa, we know that consumption of meat does contribute to the acquisition of monkeypox. But the monkeypox that we are seeing outside of Africa seems to be very clearly human-to-human transmission. Now, in Africa, it's known to be in monkeys, but also in a range of different rodents that can carry this virus and manifest with a range of symptoms that are very different depending on which species is infected. I don't think that is something that we need to worry about here, because what we are seeing in the West, what we are seeing here, is clearly something that has been acquired from other humans and not from animals.
The worry, of course, is all of this is coming, Dr. Kang, on the back of SARS-CoV-2, and maybe that's responsible for the panic, because now every time there's a virus out there, people immediately worry and, are we back to some kind of a cycle where we're in the midst of another epidemic? You're convinced that monkeypox is really not something that is going to spread at all as widely as SARS-CoV-2 did?
The numbers will not be the same as the numbers that we've had for SARS-CoV-2. That does not mean that we don't need public health measures of education, diagnosis, contact tracing, and isolation. But this is not a virus that spreads like SARS-CoV-2.
Is there any at all worry, any final note of caution that you want to put out there while you're giving us this note of reassurance today?
Well, I think the important thing to remember is intimate contact with people you don't know is best avoided.
Okay, so there you have a word of reassurance there from Dr. Gagandeep Kang. Monkeypox is not SARS-CoV-2. Let's take a break. Ahead, we'll bring you our good news today. Draupadi Murmu takes oath as the 15th president. We'll tell you more of that entire ceremony. We'll also bring you a Get Real India story on the other side. You're watching the news today. News without the noise.
I don't read the news. I read between the lines to tell you the true version of events. The true story of our times.
To document grief, the toughest assignment for any journalist to be.
From those who matter.
Women politicians going to stick up for each other.
Of those who should matter. I document the truth. I don't distort the truth. I don't glamorize the truth. I don't gloss over the truth.
The ghosts of India's contentious medieval history have come knocking again.
I hustle for the truth. On the ground, in the newsroom, in the studio. I don't try to grab eyeballs.
I inform you to make you see the point.
To the Point with Preeti Chaudhary. At these times, only on India Today.
For us, it's really a normal festival because we have no restrictions at all. We can party, we can hug, we can kiss, we can do whatever we like. And we hope it stays like this for the coming years.
So I'm from Perth in Australia, so the west coast of Australia. We've been in a lockdown for like 2.5 years, so we're one of the first people to get out. So we come all the way over here for this festival specifically. Best festival in the world, easily. Incredible.
Make your media plan smarter with India Today Live TV on your connected devices.
You are watching India Today. You are watching India.
Welcome back. Let's turn to a Get Real India story. Now, built at a cost of over 14,000 crore rupees, the Bundelkhand expressway was launched last week by Prime Minister Modi with much fanfare. The truth is, it hasn't withstood the rain for even 2 weeks. Parts of the expressway have already caved in following the rains. As I said, this is the same expressway that was inaugurated by Prime Minister Modi on the 16th July. Typically, the opposition is up in arms, alleging corruption in the Uttar Pradesh government. Here is tonight's Get Real India story.
296-kilometer 4-lane Bundelkhand expressway, built at a cost of 14,850 crore rupees, completed 6 months ahead of schedule. On the 16th of July, Prime Minister Narendra Modi inaugurated the expressway that will boost connectivity and industrial development in the region. But the expressway stands exposed, unable to weather the first torrential rainfall that it has faced. Parts of Bundelkhand expressway caved in within 12 days of inauguration. Videos are now going viral on social media, showing repair work being carried out on an urgent basis. The common man is paying the price. Purushottam Kumar, who was headed to meet his family after 2 years, met with an accident in Jalgaon while on his way to Chhattisgarh.
मैं पहले गिरा, उसके बाद मेरे गिरने के बाद 5 कारें जो थी, पहला कार सबसे ज़्यादा एक्सीडेंट हुआ, फिर बाद में जो 4 कारें आई उसके गाड़ी टायर वायर फटे और करीबन मेरे गिरने के बाद 5 एक्सीडेंट हुआ वहाँ.
The road leading from Etawah to the expressway is still incomplete. Labourers say it will take over 1 month to get it done.
टाइम काफ़ी लगेगा भाई, कम से कम समय लेके 1-1.5 महीना तो लग जाएगा.
The opposition parties are up in arms, claiming the Prime Minister inaugurated an incomplete expressway.
जगह जगह पहली बारिश में ही गड्ढे हो गए हैं, कई जगह मिट्टी बह गई है, अभी भी लाइट का काम नहीं है, सड़क पूरी तरीके से मार्क नहीं हुई है. तो आखिरकार जल्दी क्या थी? सरकार इनकी है, न सरकार जाने वाली थी, डबल इंजन की सरकार है, एक्सप्रेसवे पूरा बन जाता उसके बाद उद्घाटन करते, आखिरकार जल्दी किस बात की थी?
While the opposition's criticism of the government at the centre is on expected lines, questions remain on why the expressway could not withstand the rainfall after just 2 weeks of its inauguration. With inputs from Samarth Srivastav and Amit, Bureau Report, India Today.
I think those pictures say it all. That is Get Real India. Now from the depressing to the hopeful, because from a small village in Odisha to the first citizen of the country, history was scripted today as Draupadi Murmu was sworn in as the first Adivasi president of India. But much more than that, she is someone who in a way symbolizes hope for the future. Her appointment today was greeted by thunderous applause and Bharat Mata Ki Jai chants. What she does, we wait and wish her well. Let's leave you tonight with President Rashtrapati Draupadi Murmu as our Good News Today story, a symbol of the great journey that Indian democracy has made in the last 75 years. Thanks for watching. Stay well, stay safe. Good night. Namaskar. Jai Hind.
मैं द्रौपदी मुर्मू
ईश्वर की शपथ लेता
लेती हूँ कि
मैं
श्रद्धापूर्वक
भारत के राष्ट्रपति के पद का कार्यपालन करूंगी
India witnessing history. An Adivasi person taking oath as the president for the first time ever.
परिरक्षण, संरक्षण और प्रतिरक्षण करूंगी.
The swearing-in ceremony of Draupadi Murmu, the 15th President of India, was grand and elegant. Madam Murmu began the day with a floral tribute at Mahatma Gandhi's memorial Rajghat. After which she left for the President's house, where she was greeted by outgoing President Ramnath Kovind and his wife. Murmu and Kovind, flanked by the President's bodyguards, drove to Parliament for the oath.
Draupadi Murmu will soon hold with her the sacred responsibility.
The President-elect was escorted inside by Vice President Venkaiah Naidu, Lok Sabha Speaker Om Birla and Chief Justice of India N.V. Ramana. After the customary national anthem, the Chief Justice of India administered the oath of office to the new President.
भारत के राष्ट्रपति के पद का कार्यपालन करूंगी.
As a host of dignitaries including Prime Minister Modi, Home Minister Amit Shah and Congress Chief Sonia Gandhi watched on, Kovind exchanged the presidential chair with Murmu, symbolizing the top-level change of guard.
विशेषकर भारत के युवाओं को तथा भारत की महिलाओं को
The new president recalled her humble past and reiterated resolve to serve India in her inaugural speech.
राष्ट्रपति के पद पहुंचना मेरी व्यक्तिगत उपलब्धि नहीं है, ये भारत की प्रत्येक गरीब की उपलब्धि है. इस बात का सबूत है कि भारत में गरीब सपने भी देख सकता है और उन्हें पूरा भी कर सकता है.
After the oath, President Murmu was greeted with thunderous applause and Bharat Mata Ki Jai chants inside Central Hall of Parliament.
Simplicity and
President Murmu left for her new residence, the Rashtrapati Bhavan atop Raisina Hill, after the Parliament ceremony.
Of her life so far.
Prime Minister Modi drove down to join the new Supreme Commander of the Armed Forces, who was accorded a ceremonial Tri-Services Guard of Honour. Bureau Report, India Today.
इस समय पूरी दुनिया में लोग कंफ्यूज्ड हैं। वो समझ नहीं पा रहे हैं क्या सही है, क्या गलत है, क्या सच है, क्या झूठ है। और ये स्पष्टता हम आपको अपने इस नए शो में देंगे। सब कुछ ब्लैक एंड व्हाइट में बताएंगे। इस शो में मेरे बालों के अलावा कुछ ग्रे नहीं होगा। हर खबर ब्लैक एंड व्हाइट की तरह बिल्कुल स्पष्ट होगी।
NASA beamed doctors into the middle of the International Space Station while they were physically on Earth. This might seem like a scene from a sci-fi movie, but this technology now exists. NASA tried this new method to ensure medical help is provided to people in adverse situations. This is being called the first holoportation handshake from Earth in space. So what is holoportation and how does it work? According to NASA, it is a capture technology that allows high-quality 3D models of people to be reconstructed, compressed and transmitted live anywhere in real time. When these images are combined with mixed reality displays such as HoloLens, it allows users to see, hear and interact with remote participants in 3D. The technology gives a feeling as if the person is right in front of you. NASA says that the technology could be highly effective in deep space where communication lag is a major problem due to the immense distance between Earth and other objects. Using the Microsoft HoloLens Kinect camera with custom software, NASA flight surgeon Dr. Joseph Schmid and their teams were holoported. They interacted with astronaut Thomas Pesquet in a two-way conversation.